Of course, we begin here with a historic trial in Manhattan, the first criminal trial in history for a former president of the United States. Jury selection began today for the start of Donald Trump's hush money criminal trial. Trump addressed reporters inside the courthouse earlier today, once again blasting the judge and the trial itself.
This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought.
Well, the former president has been charged with multiple felonies related to falsifying business records to hide payments made to cover up an alleged affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels right before the 2016 election. Trump has pled not guilty to all charges. And joining me now with more is Republican Congressman from Florida and surrogate for the Trump campaign, Byron Donalds. Thank you so much for being here with us. And look, let's jump right in. We have a lot to go over today. Let's start with us hearing from the former president today. As he was walking into the courtroom, he talked about how he believes that this is an assault on America, saying it's political persecution.
Well, first of all, it's good to be with you. I am not concerned because what voters in our country are going to see is that unless you're an extreme partisan on the Democrat side of the aisle, this case is absolute garbage. This is foolishness. There is actually no criminality here whatsoever. They're trying to take a misdemeanor bookkeeping charge and then ramp it up to be a felony when the actual agency responsible for looking into campaign finance, the Federal Election Commission, looked at this and said there was nothing there. So over the course of this highly publicized trial, the American people are going to see that this is political persecution. This is Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan grandstanding, trying to increase their name ID and increase their popularity in cocktail parties in Manhattan. But it does not matter to the American people. And this is a real stain on the legal system, especially for Manhattan, for the state of New York, but really for the United States of America. This is not the way the justice system is supposed to be used.
Well, but let's get your take here on Michael Cohen. At the center of this case, right, is these hush money payments that prosecutors say Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, was responsible for. He's taken a plea deal. He's working with prosecutors. Do you at this point really believe that Trump was unaware of the bookkeeping related to this case?
Michael Cohen was also convicted of perjury. So he's a convicted liar. He's had his law license revoked. So in the court of law, every witness that goes in there, that information's got to be made available to the jury as well. But this is important, and this is for the jury that's going to end up being picked. You got to decide: do you want to continue this political charade in the courthouse, or do you want to do the right thing, say not guilty, because there is no underlying crime? Even in the indictment that was put forward by Alvin Bragg, there was no underlying crime. This case should be kicked immediately.
All right, well, a very lengthy jury selection process underway right now. But since I have you, I'd like to ask you about the Middle East. I know that you are a member of the House Freedom Caucus. And today, in a statement, the caucus warning Republican leadership not to use the emergency situation in Israel as, quote, bogus justification to ram through Ukraine aid with no offset and no security for our own wide open borders. So first of all, how do you think the speaker will respond? And will you personally vote down any funding that includes aid to Ukraine?
Well, let's be very clear on a number of matters. What happened in Israel, once again, is an atrocity. The Biden administration's weakness has led us to this point. But secondarily, the House of Representatives has now passed two different vehicles to actually have aid to Israel. The first one we passed, all we said was we want to fund it by paying for it with the IRS agents that Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi wanted to fund to the tune of $80 billion. We wanted to claw back $14 billion of that to pay for aid to Israel. It passed the House overwhelmingly on a bipartisan basis. Chuck Schumer tabled that measure in the Senate. So the Senate should bring that measure up again. They should pass it immediately so Israel gets its aid. Ukraine is a different matter altogether. House Republicans have been very clear on this, that if the White House wants to negotiate on funding Ukraine, they have to first secure the southern border. It is still massively unsecured. It is hurting every major city in our country, every state in our country. The president needs to do his job if he expects to negotiate with Congress.
In this emergency situation, as you have called it, what are you looking for in particular when it comes to the border?
Oh, it's very simple. We need to halt all encounters into our country immediately. The drug cartel is abusing Joe Biden's protocol at the southern border to move 10 million people into this country illegally, and then to move millions and millions of pounds of fentanyl into this country, which is killing Americans. So we do need to reinstate Remain in Mexico. We do need to end the parole releases. We need to end catch and release altogether. If people want to claim asylum, they need to claim it in Mexico or in their home country where there is a U.S. embassy. That's what needs to happen going forward. If the administration just did that very simple, common sense thing, then there would be room to negotiate aid to Ukraine. But they have refused to do so. So if Ukraine falls, that is at the feet of Joe Biden. But why am I surprised? I'm not, because he is the master of disaster and everything has gone wrong under his presidency.
In terms of aid, though, to Israel, is it on the table to discuss sending aid to Israel alone? And if Speaker Johnson doesn't consider something like that, do you think that his position might be in danger here?
Well, I'm not going to go that far because there's a lot of discussions that are going to happen this week. I firmly believe that what the House should do once again is pass aid to Israel. Clean aid. Let's go ahead and pass it, send it over to the Senate, and then Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden are going to have to make a decision. Are they going to side with the radicals within their own party, or are they going to side with the 80% of the American people that want to stand by Israel and give them everything that they need to protect their sovereignty and protect their interests? I think that's the issue in front of Speaker Johnson, but it's also the issue in front of President Biden and Chuck Schumer.
All right, Congressman Donalds, I hope that you come back and talk with us, as I know that this will be a very busy week. I know you have an important meeting to attend, so I hope we get to talk with you again soon. Thanks for being here.
Of course, anytime.